Hi, Dr. Leonette at Enliven Wellness here in Bridgeport. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. This is going to talk a lot about neck pain and some of the root causes for it. Now, let's get right into it because the neck is not just a structure used to hold up the head. In fact, your head weighs about 12 pounds and that neck needs to be strong. It needs to have a lot of support to be able to maintain that kind of weight all day as you walk upright. Now, it controls a lot of structures used in that whole situation there. We have veins, we have arteries that supply blood up to the brain, we have a lot of muscles, we have the vertebra, we have discs, we have the thyroid, we have the trachea. So there's a lot of stuff that runs through there, and I'll put up an image right here that shows you some of those structures. Now, the cause of pain can be from one of those, or it can be one of a variety of other things. It could be dysfunction in the brain that's causing some issues. In fact, it could be a chronic imbalance in the pelvis causing the body to have to stress, and then the neck being one of the points that has to wobble, and so you irritate that. When we look at the structure of it itself, so we have a spine here, it's front to back. We look at the top here, there's actually 7 vertebrae, and then we also include kind of the base of the skull when we talk about the neck. It's called the occiput, and then we have the atlas and axis, and then we have C3 through 7. There's a couple things we want to look for. We want to see that you have a nice gentle curve forward. We'll put up an x-ray so you can look at that. We want to see that the back of the vertebra all have these nice vertebral prominence that stick out, and they're all lined up real nice. We want to see that there's not a lot of arthritis on the sides of that. Most importantly, we want to make sure that these nerve roots that come off, these little yellow things you see here, that they do not get pinched from arthritis, they're not getting pinched from chronic misalignment, because those will definitely cause a lot of irritation in the area. And so some of the other areas we want to be of concern are if we have too much of a curve, like this, we start putting a lot of force on these facets, and those cause a very localized, tight, dull ache right in that lower part of the neck. Now, sometimes when things are real loose, you'll irritate some of the joints through there, and as a consequence, the muscles will chronically splint. So this is one of the things we want to talk about. It may not be in your best interest to always go and have those muscles loosened up all the time, because if your body is subconsciously trying to stabilize a region like your neck because of an injury, and you keep going in there and loosening up the muscles, loosening up the muscles, and loosening up the muscles, and eventually what you end up doing is causing more injury because this thing is now more wobbly than what it should be. So that may not be always what we want to do. Now, I understand there's always a lot of people really want to have those muscles loose, but we might need to work towards that, get this stabilized through proper alignment, through some of the strengthening protocols, through repairing the discs. Maybe it's through decompression, maybe it's through microcurrent, maybe it's through cold laser. There's a lot of therapies that we can do on the neck in order to get it lined up and get it back to where it should be. And so when we do that, those muscles will eventually loosen up, that tightness will go away, and so then we can help reduce a lot of the pain. Now, where does it occur? Now, a lot of people will sit and say, my neck hurts, but really it's a point right about there. And if you're one of those people, just be aware that that's where the muscles attach to. A lot of those muscles come off the neck and down into the shoulder. They attach on the top of that shoulder blade there. So those are the ones that are tight all the time. Again, it's just a good point to kind of pull this way, and then on the front side, you kind of counterbalance with your SCM, and so those things will tight. So we'll always end up looking at the full spine, the full part of the neck, the front, the back, the clavicles, SCMs, your levators, and some of the scalings, and some of those muscles in the neck. So we'll have to look at that in order to repair and make you feel better and get the pain from stopping irritating. Now, there's a lot of other stuff we need to talk about too with this. Imbalances in the neck can also be responsible for a lot of dizziness. A couple systems at play here. The eyes, the ears, the bottom of the feet all have a big sense of balance in your system. Even more importantly, there's muscles along the back side of the neck right there. If you go up there and you feel the base of your skull and you reach down, you feel 3 little muscles that are kind of in a triangle on either side of the neck. Those are sensory organs more so than they are specifically muscles. Those coordinate with your eyes and your ears and even some of the input coming off your feet to help you tell where you are in space. So if there's miscommunication or the neck's been chronically misaligned, it can contribute to some dizziness that may be one of the big contributing factors. The neck is also vastly responsible for irritation in the arms. So if you have a radiculopathy or radiation or lightning bolts going down the arms, these nerves come off the neck, they bundle under here, and they unbundle, kind of like a train track switching station, and then they'll go. And then there's specific patterns, so we can actually identify the parts of the neck that are affected if you can tell us what parts of the arm feel like lightning bolts or have a lot of numbness to it. If we want to talk about another issue, it's called portcullis. Very common. People will be turned like this. It's the SCM. It's a big muscle right through here that goes up and attaches right on that little knob right behind your ear called the mastoid. That muscle goes into spasm, causing your head to twist, and you kind of get stuck like that. Happens a lot in kids. Now, one of the things we look at with that is relaxing the SCM, but most importantly, there's nerves that go specifically to that muscle. Typically it's C3, sometimes it goes down to C5. So we have to fix the alignment back here in order to loosen up some of the muscles on this other side right through that way. Finally, we're going to talk lastly about one of the most significant issues, and that's going to be disc herniations that occur in the neck. This kind of goes back to where we were talking about the radiation going down through the arm. Discs are as pivot points for the vertebra to move. Now, as you get older, and if you haven't taken care of your spine, and you've had some whiplash injuries or some shearing injuries with the head in relation to the neck, you can actually tear some of those discs. And so then they start dehydrating, and then they start pushing out into the canals where those nerves belong. So where that nerve should have some chance to wiggle, that disc on the front side will start tearing, and you'll release some chemicals onto that, and you can cause irritation to that nerve. So that disc may need to be repaired, and we can do that a lot through traction and some of the other therapies where we talked about with the laser and the microcurrent to help repair some of that disc tissue. So there's 100 other reasons of why neck pain may occur. May occur because the jaw's been misaligned. You've had some dental work that hasn't quite lined up. It can be a secondary factor to some headaches. Sometimes it can be a primary factor to headaches. There's not one right answer, but I can tell you that we will work very hard to help you identify the cause of your neck pain, and so get you the answers and the solutions to be able to get rid of it and get you back to being healthy. Love to see you. Call us here at Enliven Wellness at 304-933-9355.